Every meeting you sit quietly in while the loudest person gets promoted. Every networking event where you watch extroverts effortlessly command attention. Every brainstorming session where your brilliant ideas get overshadowed by whoever speaks first. You've been told your whole career that being introverted is a limitation, something to overcome. But what if I told you that science has identified a specific neurological advantage that makes introverts cognitively superior? There's a brain hack that transforms your supposed weakness into intellectual dominance. Here's what happens in your brain during those uncomfortable moments of silence that everyone else rushes to fill. While the extroverted person across the table launches into their third rapid-fire idea, our prefrontal cortex activates a completely different neural network. This isn't hesitation or social anxiety. Your brain literally switches into a processing mode that gives you access to cognitive pathways extroverts cannot reach when they're operating at conversational speed. Most introverts fight against this natural process every single day. You try to speed up your thinking to match the extroverted pace around you, jumping into conversations before your brain has completed its analysis. This creates a devastating cognitive short circuit that shuts down your natural advantage entirely. You end up operating like a broken extrovert instead of a fully powered introvert, delivering half-formed thoughts that don't represent your actual intellectual capacity. Your brain operates on a fundamentally different dopamine regulation system that creates sustained focus periods lasting 3 to 4 times longer than typical extroverted attention spans. When an extrovert's dopamine peaks and crashes within minutes of engaging a topic, your neurochemistry maintains steady concentration for extended periods. This biological difference means you can hold multiple complex variables in your working memory simultaneously while others have already moved on to the next shiny object. Research demonstrates that introverted brains maintain higher baseline arousal in the frontal lobe, the specific region responsible for complex problem-solving, strategic thinking, and synthesizing information across different domains. Your resting brain activity in this area exceeds what extroverts achieve even during peak engagement. Think about what this means practically. While they're using maximum effort to reach basic analytical thinking, you're operating from a neurological foundation that makes sophisticated reasoning your default state. The critical mistake most introverts make involves interpreting their processing time as intellectual slowness. You apologize for needing a moment to think. You rush to fill conversational gaps. You second-guess insights that took time to develop. But processing time isn't slowness, it's thoroughness. Your brain creates multiple solution pathways, evaluates potential consequences, and cross-references information against your existing knowledge base. This methodical approach leads to superior decision-making accuracy that rapid response thinking simply cannot achieve. This neurological difference explains exactly why you often develop the best solution after everyone else has finished talking, but by then the conversational moment has passed and the group has moved forward with an inferior approach. Your brain requires time to synthesize information, but that synthesis creates connections that rapid-fire thinkers miss entirely. While they're generating quick responses from surface-level processing, you're building comprehensive understanding that accounts for variables they haven't even considered. Your mind literally constructs knowledge differently, creating associative links between disparate pieces of information that form innovative solutions. Extroverted brains excel at quick categorization and immediate response, but they sacrifice depth for speed. Your cognitive architecture trades response time for analytical sophistication, producing insights that seem impossibly prescient to people who don't understand how thorough mental processing actually works. The first part of the brain hack involves recognizing when your mind enters this deep processing mode and learning to signal its value to others instead of apologizing for it. When you feel that familiar pause before speaking, that's not hesitation. That's your prefrontal cortex engaging its full analytical capacity. Instead of rushing to fill the silence, you need to claim the processing space your brain requires to deliver maximum intellectual value. This means explicitly communicating your thinking process to others. Say, "I'm processing the implications of what you just said," instead of remaining silent. Say, "Let me think through the potential consequences," instead of offering an immediate but incomplete response. When you frame your processing time as valuable analysis rather than social awkwardness, people begin to anticipate and respect your contributions. Once you understand this neurological foundation, you can start leveraging your cognitive architecture instead of apologizing for it in professional settings. Your brain isn't broken or slow. It's operating on a completely different system optimized for depth over speed. The transformation begins when you stop trying to to be a fast extrovert and start being a strategic introvert who uses processing time as a competitive advantage. The actual brain hack isn't about changing how you think, it's about timing when you think and creating the right conditions for cognitive dominance. Your introverted brain already possesses superior analytical capabilities, but without proper preparation, you're accessing maybe 30% of that capacity in real-time situations. There's a specific 5-minute preparation technique that primes your introverted brain for maximum intellectual output in any situation. This isn't meditation or visualization. This is cognitive preparation that aligns your natural processing strengths with situational demands. Without this preparation, you leave meetings frustrated with what you could have contributed, knowing you had better ideas that never made it out of your head. The technique involves a 3-phase process that transforms how others perceive your contributions. Neural priming activates your pattern recognition systems. Information pre-processing aligns your thinking with natural cognitive strengths. Strategic positioning ensures your insights land at the optimal moment when others are ready for deeper analysis. These phases work together to create intellectual dominance that appears effortless to observers. Phase 1 activates your brain's pattern recognition system by reviewing available information exactly 5 minutes before any meeting or decision-making situation. Studying or memorizing details, you're feeding your prefrontal cortex the raw materials it needs to generate connections during the actual conversation. Spend 90 seconds scanning meeting agendas, project documents, or background information. Your brain will unconsciously begin forming associative links between this information and your existing knowledge base. During the remaining time in Phase 1, close your eyes and allow your mind to wander through the information you just reviewed. Don't force analysis or try to generate solutions. Your brain's default mode network automatically begins cross-referencing new information with stored knowledge, creating the foundation for insights that will emerge during actual discussion. Phase 2 involves asking yourself 3 specific questions that align your thinking with your natural processing strengths rather than fighting against them. First question: what patterns do I notice that others might miss? This primes your brain to look for systemic connections rather than isolated facts. Second question: what are the long-term implications of the decisions being discussed? This activates your natural tendency toward consequence analysis. Third question: where are the gaps between what's being presented and what's actually needed? This engages your critical evaluation systems. These questions aren't meant to generate immediate answers. They're cognitive primers that orient your thinking toward your natural analytical advantages. Your brain will continue processing these questions subconsciously throughout the meeting, generating insights that surface at precisely the right moments. Phase 3 positions you to deliver insights at the optimal moment when others have exhausted surface-level thinking and are ready for deeper analysis. This requires recognizing conversation patterns. Extroverts typically cycle through quick ideas, build on each other's suggestions, and reach a natural pause when they've explored obvious options. That pause is your optimal entry point. Position yourself physically to make eye contact with decision-makers during these natural pauses. Use transitional phrases that signal depth rather than disagreement. Say, building on what's been discussed, rather than, but what about? Say, the underlying pattern I'm seeing, instead of jumping directly into your insight. These linguistic bridges help others mentally shift from rapid-fire idea generation to analytical consideration. This approach works because it honors your brain's need for processing time while ensuring your insights land with maximum impact. You're not trying to compete with extroverted thinking speed. You're positioning your contributions to arrive when the group needs precisely what your cognitive architecture provides. When implemented correctly, this technique allows you to consistently be the person who sees what others miss and provides solutions that seem impossibly insightful. You become the individual who identifies critical flaws in popular proposals, who spots opportunities that others overlooked, who synthesizes complex information into actionable strategies. The transformation happens immediately. You'll notice the difference in your very next meeting when you apply this systematic approach to leveraging your cognitive architecture. Instead of leaving frustrated with unexpressed ideas, you'll leave knowing you contributed your highest intellectual value at precisely the moments when it created maximum impact. Your colleagues will begin seeking your input specifically because they recognize you provide analysis that their quick thinking cannot generate. Your introversion isn't a limitation to overcome. It's a cognitive operating system that, when properly utilized, gives you intellectual advantages that extroverted thinking simply cannot access. You possess neurological architecture designed for depth, synthesis, and strategic analysis that operates at levels most people never reach. Start implementing the 5-minute preparation technique before your next important meeting and watch how your perceived intelligence and influence transforms overnight. The difference will be immediate and undeniable. The question isn't whether you're smart enough to succeed, it's whether you're ready to stop apologizing for how your brilliant mind actually works.